Welcome
to the joy of coding.
Hello, and welcome to episode 152 of The Joy of Coding, where I have not properly set up my green screen. So hold on just a quick sec. Let me just pay no attention to the curtain, the man in front of the curtain. That should be fine now. Hello, welcome to episode of 152 of The Joy of Coding. My name's Mike Conley. We're going to be hacking on some Firefox stuff today. I hope you're looking forward to it. I sure am. Let's get down to business. What are we doing today? Well, let me switch to my screen. And I don't know, is this... yeah, this is still working, this green screen. Okay, so today is episode 152, and as people who have seen this stream before know, but I'll say it for the newcomers, no plan survives breakfast. This could go horribly wrong. I've got a sense of what I want to do today, even though I haven't actually put any bullets in here yet. I have a sense of what I want to do today, but who knows? Like, I haven't rehearsed, I haven't scripted it really. Things could go horribly wrong. I might get derailed, I might get sidetracked. It's unclear. This is software development in the raw. So we'll see what happens. And if things go wrong, that's okay. You'll just watch me deal with it. So the other thing I want to mention is that this agenda is something that is accessible and available to you depending on where you're watching the stream. So if you're watching this on the new Airmozilla, check out the handouts section, which is over here for the agenda. If you're watching this on YouTube, check out the video description down here-ish. And if you're watching this on Twitch, well then let me send you a URL. Boom, on Twitch. There you go. I just sent it over the Twitch chat. There's also a link in the agenda on how you can rate the episode. And I will drop that into the Twitch chat. Boom. And that lets you give me feedback on this particular episode. Let me know what I can do to make the stream better. I read everything that comes in. Please send me your ratings. Please send me your thoughts. Every little bit counts. The last thing I want to mention is the episode guide. There is a viewer-driven episode guide to The Joy of Coding. And if you follow the link in the agenda, you'll get right to it. It's got almost every single episode all the way up to episode 151. There are a couple it doesn't have, and mostly that's because the videos are not actually available. Either they didn't air, or they're gone, they're missing or something. Or like it used to be that I would, if I missed an episode, then like the number would increase anyways because of the old system. Well, and you can see that definitely stopped happening in 2017. So yeah, check out these episodes. Check out these episode guides. It's completely, like I said, viewer driven. Some of them will just have like the link to the episode and the link to the Evernote agenda. Like, thankfully, all of those now forward to the right episodes on the new Airmozilla. That's nice. And then links to the old agendas. Some of the newer ones have things like the topics I cover, the bugs I worked on, and the link to the rating of the episode. So, if that's a thing that interests you, it's a thing that you want to contribute to. Maybe you want to add your own notes. You want to add some addenda, some corrections, some expansion on some topic I covered. Why don't you send me a pull request to the episode guide? Because, I mean, it's for you. It's for all you viewers, so use it how you need it. So if you're not sure how to send a pull request, there's a guide here in the agenda on how to do that. There's actually a contributing guide in the episode guide itself. It can give you really specific instructions on how you can contribute. So that's the preamble. What are we doing today? Well, I've gotten... First of all, self-check. Everything working. I'm recording. You can hear me. You can see me. Sound effects. Yep. Fantastic. What are we doing today? Well, two things. I'm working on 2 bugs right now, and I thought maybe we could push those forward. So the first one is this. It's related to the bug we were working on, I think, last week. If I look at the agenda for last week, I think we were working on... I don't know if we actually got here. Did we? Yeah, I think we did get here. Setting browser tabs, remote, separate, privileged content process to true by default. there was something we were dealing with try push failures. Oh, I remember what we were doing. I was kind of sick, and I was trying to do this thing where I was going to like add the listeners property to the NSI web progress binding so that you could like transfer listeners between web progress listeners. If you're not sure what I mean by that, you can watch the episode. But I spun that out into this separate bug. Sorry, I should have. Strangely, it's linking to the, not to the notes, but to the bug itself. So let me update this and say notes, and I'll link the notes. Edit. And then the actual bug itself is 147.22.1.147.22.12, and that's what we should be linked to here. Okay, and so I've updated last week's agenda, or this week's agenda. Wait, no, last week's agenda, and yeah, there was some work there. I spun out to, what was it? This one. Make it easier to deal with Zool browsers flipping between remoteness. And so what I ended up doing is, instead of making the sort of generalized thing that allows us to transfer listeners, I had added, pardon me, I added this constraint where you can only persist listeners, will only transfer listeners when you transition from remote to remote, from different content process types, but not transfer them when you go from remote to non-remote or non-remote to remote. And so that was a lot easier. That ended up being like this much code, which was much easier, and that's what landed. And so I'm building off of that today because there's a little bit more I want to do here. I spun out this bug. What this is all about is about making the activity stream tab run in its own special content process. And we're almost done. This is an intern project that my intern Jay was working on for a while. And it's not just spinning this content process that's nice. What's really nice is that we get to take advantage of his other work, which was using the script preloader to cache a lot of the activity stream scripts whenever it loads, and then so subsequent activity stream loads should be much faster. And that ultimately should mean that the new tab page appears faster, like we just load it faster. We only get that if you turn on the separate content process. And if I look in about config, I think I have had this on for a while myself, and I haven't noticed any serious bugs with it. I've had it on since he was working on it more than a month ago. So I'm hoping we can turn it on by default on nightly soon. And but the first thing I need to do is make it so that the pref will also, like, we land patches, and so that if you turn it on, all the tests pass, but also if you turn it off, I want all the tests to pass. And right now we're in a state where if you were to land all these patches as they are, it would all pass, but that's because we're including the patch that turns it on by default. And if you turn it off by default, some tests fail, and I don't want that to happen. So I've split out the patch that deals with those other tests, and I'm going to try and make it more adaptable. I actually have the patches already. I have the patch ready to go. I just need to look at it, post it for review. So let's take a look at what we've got. This is the patch in question. And what does it do? So this is based off of work that Jay worked on over the summer. And I write in my commit message, make some test work if activity stream runs in its own content process. The separate activity stream content process is currently prefable, and I'd like to make sure, whoa, what just happened to the font? What? Why is the font all strange? Oh, now it's fixed. Okay, I'd like to make sure that the tree is green with it enabled and disabled. This patch makes the tests that browse from About Home or About New tab to some other page or back work properly even if there are process flips. So it's making us more resilient to process flips. Again, remote to remote process flips. So here's one in about cert error where instead of waiting for the page show event, well, let's take a look at the test and see what it does. And I'm making this modification in line 67, which is here. So what does this particular test do? We open an error page, and then we make sure we can't go back or forward, and then we update history so that we can go. We get the JSON history. We make sure there's one history entry. Check, click, and go back down. So what do we do? Open error page. How's the open error page work again? Just double check I understand how this works. And the reason I'm looking at this is some of this patch is not written by me. This is originally based on work that Jay did. I had originally reviewed it, but this was a couple months ago. So I want to be fully cognizant, fully aware of what this patch does before I put it up for review, because I might have to answer questions about it. So what does this part of the patch do? It's going to take a source and a bool frame, which I think, if I remember, is a Boolean. I'm just going to mute for a second because I have to cough and it's going to be loud. Hold on a sec. How do I mute? How best to mute? Well, I'll just cough. Sorry about this, folks. My apologies that you had to hear that. Okay, so we take this Boolean use frame, and it's either false or true. And if it's true, then we're going to open a dummy page in a new foreground tab, and we're going to inject an error page frame. Okay, I think I understand that. Otherwise, we open a new foreground tab at whatever the error page, the source is supposed to be, and then we wait. Select the tabs, source, browser, site browser. We wait for the error page to load. Okay, so the error page we're attempting to load is expired.example.com. And so that's self-hosted, like our test framework is running a little HTTP server, and it's going to serve up a bad cert. Got it. Okay, and then going back is going to take us to about home. I see, and we're going to wait for location change. That makes sense. Can't go back, can't go forward. So I like that change. That change makes sense. And we need to do it because waiting for the event page show isn't going to happen because we're going to process flip. So maybe I'll I'll put a note in here that going back to about new tab might cause a process flip. So I'll just put that note in there. Process flip if the browser is configured to run about new tab in its own special content process. So there was that, and then there's this other thing. This was, I think, the other important thing that I was interested in looking at and making sure I understood. Because I had myself modified this one and not this one, but that seems pretty straightforward. I modified this one and I feel happy about it. So I really need to just look at that and this head.js change, make sure I fully understand it, and then I'll post it up for review, and then we'll work on something else. So what are we doing? Let's look for this string. Where are we? We're inside this function called wait for doc load and stop it. And that's called by, probably by other things inside the tests in this directory. So let's do a quick search. Actually, I'm going to open up a new terminal here. We're going to look inside. Where are we? We're in browser-based content test about. What? CD browser-based content test about. So we've got a couple calls in here. Most of them actually come from itself within head.js. It refers to itself. There are a couple of places where we do some calls to it. So let's take a look at one of them. Wait for doc load and stop it. So in this test, we open a new tab at About Home, which with the pref on will open in a separate process. We're going to add a search engine. We're going to put something in the search input. We're going to set up a mutation observer. For the search suggestion table. Synthesize composition change. Okay. Waiting for search suggestion table unhidden. And we do the search. Synthesize mouse at center temp ID button. So like I think that might be the some kind of like search entry in the drop down there. And so clicking it will cause a load to occur, and we wait for the doc load and we actually stop it. Okay, that makes sense. How does this work? How does wait for doc load and stop it work? Well, first of all, it defines a content script, and then and we'll go into that in a sec. And then it defines a promise. We're deferring the setup of this promise because there's a possibility that a process flip will occur. And this promise, what it does is it gets at the browser's message manager, it loads the content script, and we pass an argument stop from progress listener, and we wait for a message that will call this complete thing, which will resolve the promise, and then we log. Okay. And then I guess we're doing this thing where we check to see if we're going to do a process flip. Git tab for browser if tab. If each you can load URI and remote type expected URL and browser remote type. Otherwise, we wait for a remoteness change. Okay. So I think this can be cleaned up a little bit, actually. And how does this work? This content script goes in after the process flip. And then we run the content script. Content script will add a progress listener. And we'll attempt to stop. Stop. Hammer time. That's great. That's a great joke. Otherwise, we'll set time at now. No. Now. Stop content. Content stop from progress listener. True. Otherwise, we don't. We stop content from something else. Okay. So I think we can probably make this a little simpler. Lowercase avoid stopping the direct from the progress listener callback. One thing we can do right away is we can make this an async function because it's already returning a promise. Did URL browser stop from progress listener? I'm mostly interested in refactoring this stuff down here. So what we can do instead, because what it does is it defines a promise and then checks to see if we're not going to do a process flip, and then we'll return the result of this function, which is a promise. Otherwise, it will wait for remoteness flip, and then it will do, like, this is a little convoluted, and I think that's partially I think that is entirely my fault, because I think I was giving Jay feedback about this. So I think I may have given him some bad advice. So how would I do this now? Well, what I'd do instead is I would put this up here, but I would flip the logic around so that we'd say if there's no tab, or so I'm going to say if no. Hold on a second. I want to see what the original code was too. What is the current state of the code? And is this completely copied over here? It is. Yikes. I wonder if this should be moved into browser test utils. That might be a good idea too. Return new promise. So what we were doing before was okay. So these checks for if not okay. Get tab for browser. So I'm going to say, what happens if we call can load URI in remote type with etns disabled? Process. Preferred remote type equals remote type equals not remote. Then the preferred remote type is not remote, or the default remote type. Okay. Well, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to say if you can't load the URI and the remote type, the expected URL and the browser remote type. Then what we're going to do is we're going to await here. Other test utils. Wait for event. Tab remoteness change. And then, once the remoteness change has occurred, we can do await function complete message listener. Maybe that's just enough right there. Can return this new promise. But I think I am missing a. There we go. And hopefully that occurs in time. Let's see. I actually don't need to build faster because whenever you're modifying tests, they don't need to be repackaged, which is nice. So I'll just run the about tests, see if they pass. Just exploded. Can load URI and remote type is not a function. So, right, I'm going to have to, if I'm going to use this, I have to use the current name of the function and then rename it when the other one goes in. Okay. So, etns utils, which is called can load URI and process. Maybe I need a slightly different function here. Type for URI. Default remote type. It's weird that we've got these defined on here as well. I think that's very confusing. let's see here. Get remote type for URI object. Get remote type. Should load URI in this process. URI. Load URI in browser. Should load equal browser test utils dot should load URI in browser. A browser URI. A expected URL. And then I'm going to say must change process. If must change process. Let's try that. And that was failing in this test function, or this test. So I'll just run that test directly instead of running them all. Explosion. Should load URI in browser is not a function. What? Oh, it's not browser test utils. It's E10S utils. Right? E10S utils, yeah. Run it again. Didn't really work. Is that because we're waiting for the remoteness change? Set debugger there. Let's run the test again with the debugger. All right. What's the story? What's the story, Wishbone? What is must change process? Is true. Really? Remote type. Privileged. Oh, did I forget to build the whole thing? Hold on. Well, even if it was, we're waiting for the remote type. Like, a tab remoteness change must occur, right? So hold on, let me do that again. Okay. So I'm gonna see if we get there. Yeah, a remoteness change does occur. The thing is, we load the page too soon. That's what happens, and that's probably what Jay's patch was originally working around. So he was working around the fact that by the time we get to this point, the remoteness changes occurred, and then we're too late to stop the dock load. So maybe if we do it this way, I wonder if this would be better. Do we get a chance if we do it this way? Add message listener. Promise equal resolve. Maybe it should be like await. Well, hold on. Running the JS debugger, almost certainly the page load will proceed and we'll miss the window of opportunity. That doesn't work because complete's not defined. And resolved is what it should have been. Sorry for all the throat coughing action today. Just the leftover dregs of that cold. State change. Yeah, I think we're too late. We're too late to stop it. So what was he doing before? Let's snapshot this. I'm just gonna like copy it to the clipboard. I'm gonna undo a whole bunch and just look at what we were doing before. If you can load in remote type. Otherwise, in the remoteness change function as opposed to awaiting. So in the event listener for the remoteness change function, that's whenever we have the window of opportunity to like. So maybe instead of waiting for the event, what we should do is This is so fragile. Load frame script. I'm just trying to remember what the arguments are here. Allow delayed load. So maybe we could do that. Allow delayed load. You know, maybe Jay had it right the first time. Maybe that's why it was so a little convoluted. And if that's the case, then we should comment about it. And we're deferring the setup of this promise because of the possibility that process will occur. This promise is stopped doc load promise. This is a little convoluted because we have a very small window of time in which to send down the frame script, which on the content script, frame script before the page actually loads. The expected page actually loads. The best time to send down the script, it seems, is right after the tab remoteness update event. So we abstract out the content script handling into a helper stop doc load promise so that we can account for the process flipping case and jam in the content script at just the right time in the tab remoteness change handler. It's not amazing, but now I'm going to update this so that it's can load URI, should load URI in browser. Or so I'm going to say let utils is called should load URI in browser, return must change process. Change process equal should load URI in browser, and we're going to say take the browser the URI. Or must change process. Must change process, and then we add our semicolon there because that's a problem if we don't. All right. And explodes because should load URI. I spelled it wrong. Shouldle. Shoodle. Hey, that worked. Great. So now, that's because, I mean, a process flip was occurring because I haven't actually done a rebuild yet. So let me do a rebuild without the process flip occurring and make sure it passes. And then we'll look at the last bit, and then we'll put this up for review. Or occur if as we transition from page to page. Let's run the test again, make sure it passes, and if it does, we just have one last thing to look at, and then we can put this whole thing up for review. And then we've slurped this part of the patch out, and we can maybe land the rest of it later. Maybe later today, depending on... Yeah, and that passes too, so that's great. So I'm going to amend this patch with that change. Okay, so put our comment in there. Changed it just a little bit. And then that I feel good about. Pretty good about, actually. I have one thing I want to look at for that last thing. This makes sense. We're just waiting for an exact URL to load, which makes sense. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with all of it. There's just one thing I want to check out. That's back in this test here that I had fixed up. One thing I didn't really understand, rereading the patch, is how come... So what this test does is, I'll talk about the important part here. It opens up a new tab at about blank, and then it loads about new tab in it, and then it waits for new tab to stop loading. That's finished loading, and then we load example.com, and then we make sure that we can go back from example.com to new tab. And I'm waiting for this SS tab restored event to occur, but that should only happen during a process flip. So why would it pass without a process flip needing to occur? Why is it firing and I didn't expect it? And if so, I want to understand why. So test, what's the path? General browser bug 724239. Actually, I just learned I didn't need the whole path. I could have just put browser bug 724239 in there and it would have found it. I just found that out yesterday. So it passes. So SS tab restored is firing for some reason, and I don't know why. We fire that here and send tab restored, restore tab content. Let's restore tab content complete. Print out a stack. So I know I got there if that's what's happening.
It's me, Mario!
Just playing some sounds, don't freak out. Okay. Restoring the tab content. Why? On before browser window shown. When we receive a message, we're doing a process flip. We're doing a process flip. Why are we doing a process flip? You can't see what I'm typing. Sorry. Let me. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. Let's go to tabbrowser.js and update browser remoteness and say like
What happened? Hey, what happened? Hey, I can't do my work. I don't think so.
Waiting for browsing loader to about a tab. Waiting for restoring tab content. So it's not because of a remoteness switch. Because we're doing this navigate and restore business. Let's see why. Why are we doing this navigate and restore business? Why? Why? Doing it because we're being told to redirect, load into a different process. Huh. Wait at the beginning, and then I'm gonna make sure that that pref is properly flipped to false, the separate content process one. It is false. Example.com 75432 75432. So right now I'm not going between processes. So why would I, of all reasons, like why would I need to flip processes again? Why am I needing to flip processes again? Some 5508. What? Oh, I put the wrong way around. That's why. Silly me. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 5, 5, 2, 7, 6. So I'm going to make it wait in between all of these. Load URI and wait for it to stop. Then wait for it to stop again. Ooh, there's a message in live hacking. The joy of coding. Yeah. right? So we have 75646. 75646, that's right. Browsing to example.com takes us to 75646. There's no need to update the remoteness. There is no need to update the remoteness. In fact, we're not even flipping we're not even changing the process. So why are we navigating and restoring? Navigate and restore. Load another process. Redirect load. We've been asked to redirect load. Why? Redirect load. Where's that happening? Inside of content. Browser-content.js. Web browser Chrome 3. Tab content. Should load URI in this process. Dump. Child is asking for a fresh process. Really want to understand what's happening here. I should have taken those timeouts out. Shoot. Oh well, next time. Waiting for browser load, navigate and restore. So the content isn't asking for it. But we are receiving some message. Receiving some message to redirect load. In browser.js. Browser load URI. Redirect load. Redirect load, is that a thing that, who calls that? Here. So e10s utils redirect load must be called. So this is where I'm going to put my redirect load in child, question mark. The joy of coding, Smurfd. The joy.
Hey, what happened?
Okay. Redirect load and child from should load URI, load URI, web navigation. Load URI. Should load URI for in tab content 40. Here. So apparently we shouldn't load the URI. Why not? So what's the best way to debug this? We're returning false, so maybe we're getting if it doesn't have post data and the remote type, this is possibly a preload browser I'm about to navigate away for the first time. There's no way to tell for sure if that is the case. Let's redirect this request to the parent side if a new process is needed, but we don't currently properly handle. Oh, interesting. Interesting. So the fact that there is okay, I get it. I think I get it. Who added this? Did I add this? Gabor added it and I reviewed it. This allows us to like reuse. It's possibly a preloaded browser. I'm about to navigate away from the first time. On the child side, there's no way to tell for sure if that is the case. Let's redirect this request to the parent to decide if a new process is needed. All right. Parent. So I guess what we need to do here is ultimately process cleans of navigation. Let instead of this promise dictionary or promise array, I'll do it this way. I'll say let stopped equal browser stopped, and then we're going to say in the event how do we know if we're going to flip remoteness? Let must change process. I'll do the same thing I did earlier. Must change process. This is in should load URI in browser. So let's say example.com. If must change process, await that, await stopped. Actually, I could just await. Say if we needed to change the process flip, we will need to ensure the process that the restoration has completed before we check gbrowser.can go back. Okay. Let's try running that. looks good. So I'm going to undo a bunch of the logging I did in here. So ultimately, that was an investigation that was worth our time, because it meant that the fact that we were getting SS tab restored in the case where we don't actually need to do a tab remoteness flip is that's interesting. You know, that might be more. We might be doing more activity than we need to in general. But hopefully that means that our separate content process for activity stream, that's going to eliminate the need for that. But up until now, maybe we've just been, like, for the first tab, we've been doing too much work. At the very least, we should fix that with the separate content process. So that'll be nice, a little less overhead. So I'm going to amend that in there. Now the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to rebase Jay's other patches on top, rebuild, and then make sure it works with the pref turned on, and then I'll push this for review. Okay. After that, trying to think. There's not a whole lot of time left. I'm gonna have to stop right around 2:30, I think, because I got another meeting coming up. But you know, maybe we can do. There's a little bit of review feedback I've got on a separate patch. We could start looking at that. So let me get that prepped and ready. That's for this patch. So let me actually update the notes for this episode. We were working on this one. Oops. And that's gonna be like that. I actually haven't created, I should have created notes for it because we just did a little bit of discovery. So let's copy that there. So let me quickly do a brain dump. The reason originally we were getting the SS tab restored event, even if we weren't flipping remoteness, was because of this code here. And we'll go to etns utils.jsm. Tab. Which was added to let us have a pre-allocated content process for the preloaded new tab. Oh, we have let us have about new tab use a pre-existing content process instead of taking up the pre-allocated one. All right, all that rebasing is done. So now I'm going to switch out to the top where Jay's patch turns on the separate privileged content process, and let's build it. Hopefully this doesn't take too long. My cache, my native cache, should be more or less primed with the right stuff. Yep, there we go. Easy peasy. Lemon squeezy. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Easy peasy. Okay, and what was the other bug while I'm waiting on this? So, well, hold on. Let me take these notes, copy the URL, go back over here, do that. The other one I'm thinking of working on, or I'm going to be looking at, is this one. I actually think I've got, no, I don't. Whoops. I do have notes for that one. It's here. Okay, so let's run the test again. Now that we've got the separate content process enabled, make sure it still works. It does. So, ready to post it for review. Fab submit, and then this thing. The joy of coding. So this is, what is all this? What's going on in here? This patch refactors how we do, ooh, this now blocks this thing. So this is going to fix some things on Linux too, which is nice. I'm refactoring how the tabs and title bar stuff works so that we don't use JavaScript to figure out the layout of things. We just use CSS. And that's involving a lot of small patches, a lot of micro commits. And I've got some feedback on some of them. And I was going to start like going through the feedback. And I've got some exception, like some things have been accepted. That was accepted. This. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 out of however many this is. 6 out of 23 have been accepted. And the rest have been reviewed and just have some stuff I need to fix. So that's what I was going to do today, but I think we're going to run out of time. But we'll see. We'll see. I kind of have to wait until, pardon me, Moz Fab Submit finishes the job. It's going to decide and rebase a whole bunch of stuff.
I can't do my work! I can't do my work!
Mamma mia! Mamma mia! Oh, wow, 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 wow!
I don't think so!
There we go. So it's now posted for review. Great. And this should survive the process flip stuff. And then when that lands, then we should be good to go. I can land the rest of this stuff from J And it should just work. All right. Let us... I'm going to stop there. I think I'm going to end the episode. I didn't want to go too much deeper. I don't want to switch focus to the other thing because I don't have much time. So I'm going to cap it here. Hey, thank you so much for watching episode 152 of The Joy of Coding. We're getting close to Halloween. I don't know what I'm going to do. Is there what's the Halloween? What day is Halloween this year? I don't know. If you're not familiar, Halloween is a holiday that's celebrated in some places, including Canada, where we get spooky. We get all, like, scary. And Halloween falls on... the 31st, the Wednesday. Oh, man. Okay, so there is going to be a Joy of Coding. I hope, unless scheduling screws up, but fingers crossed, there will be a Halloween episode of The Joy of Coding. A spooky episode. Spooky. What do you want to do? Let me know what I should do for the Halloween episode of The Joy of Coding. Should I wear a costume? Should I work on a spooky bug? Something ghosts related, like memory ghosts. I don't know. Like, maybe I should play spooky music. Maybe I should have spiders crawling all over me throughout. Let me know by rating this episode. Give me your ideas. What should I do for Halloween? And you know, we'll see what we can do. Thanks again for watching episode 152 of The Joy of Coding. My name is Mike Conley. Thanks for watching and take care. And I won't see you next week. Next week, I originally thought that this week I had meetings. It's next week I have unavoidable meetings, so I can't stream next week. But I'll see you the week after that, and then it'll be Halloween. So I'll see you then. Take care. Bye-bye.
The joy of coding.
See ya.